again we meet and talk about bread faults part 2, a rest of the bread faults which we had not taken up in the previous lecture. I'll explain some of the more bread faults and their remedies in this lecture. We had done up to very thick crust, then we come to flinty crust. We also call it shell tops. We also call it flying top. What happens sometimes, the bread crust is hard and it breaks just like an eggshell. It is also known as flinty crust, and it happens when we are using strong wheat flour and that has been not fermented properly. That dough has been insufficiently fermented. There are other factors also. For example, if you make the stiff dough and the inadequate pan proofing has been done, excessive top heat is there in the oven, or the dough was quite cold, or too much yeast has been used, then over mixing has been done, or very tight dough due to under mixing is there, too much improver has been added. These are all the reasons for giving the flinty crust or flying crust. Then another fault is wild break. This sometimes you find when you slice the break, you find there are wild breaks. From outside also you can look at the wild breaks in the bread loaf. Smooth break shred is desirable in the loaf. If the gluten content has not been conditioned properly during fermentation, then top of the crust, instead of rising gradually, it will burst under pressure of the expanding gas, and this will give wild breaks on the top and sides of the bread loaf. Insufficient proofing of bread, excessive heat in the oven, they can also give you wild breaks in the bread loaf. According to the cause, you can rectify it. Then sometimes you get sticky crumb. If you slice the bread, you will find the crumb is sticky inside, and this can be due to the factor that if the wheat flour or loaf, it has been proofed or under excessive humidity conditions, or otherwise it will mean naturally if you are doing proofing for a long time under higher relative humidity, this will absorb more of the moisture content, and when you bake it, then it can give you sticky crumb. If the dough is too light or too slack, if you have used excessive amount of fat in the formula, low salt content in the formula, excessive use of mineral improvers, they all can lead to crumbiness of the crumb. Otherwise, the crumb should be good. It should not break into small fragments when you slice, and this is known as crumbiness. This is not desirable. If the dough has been fermented properly, you will find it will give elasticity to the breadcrumb and it will not break into small pieces when you do the slicing. And the factors already I have told for the crumbiness. They can be if the cold dough has been used, too much yeast has been used, strong flour has been used, over mixing of the dough has been done, too much improver has been done. They all lead to crumbiness, which is not desirable. Then holes and tunnels in the bread. Sometimes when you do the slicings, you will find instead of small uniform cells, proper texture, grain of the crumb, you find long tunnels and big holes in the crumb. Why it is so? There can be so many reasons. If you are using weak flour and it cannot withstand the pressure of carbon dioxide gas produced during proofing or fermentation. If you are using high yeast in the formula, more carbon dioxide production and more of the holes and tunnels because of this high production of carbon dioxide. If the dispersion of the ingredients is not proper during mixing, if the base of your oven is very hot, under mixing or over mixing both can cause the creation of holes and tunnels in the crumb. Balanced formula has not been used. You have not used the proper proportion of various ingredients given in the bread formula. During proofing, the temperature of proofing cabinet is very high. It is not between 25 to 27 degree centigrade. And if the proofing has to be done for 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 15 minutes as given in the formula at various steps, and you do overproofing, then also you will get holes and tunnels, because due to over proofing, yeast gets more time to ferment and more of the carbon dioxide production, and it leads to formation of holes and tunnels. Then another fault is irregularity. Irregularity means when the molding has been done loose, or molding where you have given uneven pressure while molding. Somewhere you have put more pressure, somewhere you have put less pressure, and they will cause large pockets of the air in the folds, and then you will get irregularity in the shape of the bread. It will not be even bread loaf, and an even pressure during molding will give rise to regular loaf size, loaf volume. Deficiency of bloom. The most important factor for bloom is the enzyme diastase. This diastase enzyme is present in the flour, and diastatic activity of wheat flour should be sufficient. Otherwise, what will happen? You will not get the good bloom in the bread. Sufficient sugar production and formation of dextrin during baking, they can also impart bloom. You can add malt in the formula to have good bloom, to improve the bloom. We can use these malt. Then next effect is color spots. It is because of entirely carelessness of the baker. He is not using clean molds. His working shelf platform is not clean. Handling of the bread has been done with unclean hands. Baking gloves, they are not washed and clean. Cooling racks are not clean, and there is so much of dirt, dust inside the oven, leftover baked goods, their particles are there in the oven, and all these factors, they can give color spots on the bread loaf, which are not liked by the customer. Then another important characteristic that bread should have a good flavor, good taste. If it's not there, then it's a major bread fault. And this poor flavor taste, it can be improper storage of the raw ingredients which have been used. For example, the fat which you are using for the bread, that has been stored near the organic solvents, petroleum products, or near onion or garlic, it will pick up the flavor of those and impart to the bread. And similarly, if the flour has not been stored properly, or the yeast has not been stored properly at the proper temperature, under proper room conditions, then poor quality ingredients if you're using, they will not give you good flavor and taste. If the off flavored ingredients have been selected and used by mistake, salt has been used in excess, if your bread dough is old, it is fermented and conditioned for too long, and you are doing baking after 2 or 3 days, then this unfermented or over fermented dough or old dough, they will not give good flavor and taste. Under baking, over baking, they will not give good flavor and taste. If cooling of the bread has been done under unsanitary conditions or near the products which give off flavor, rancid flavor, then also the bread will pick up those flavors and the taste and flavor will not be good. Then sometimes we find condensation marks on the breads. If the bread is not allowed to cool properly before wrapping, it has been wrapped just when it is hot, even slightly hot, warm, then also we will find that moisture particles will appear on the bread crust, and these water vapors which have been deposited on the crumb, they will cause dark patches, and therefore the bread has to be cooled thoroughly before packing to avoid condensation. Poor keeping quality. Sometimes you find you bring the bread from the market, you can keep it for 2-3 days fresh, moist, and sometimes within the 1 or 2 days it becomes dry, it is not good in taste, and this may be because of the various reasons. It depends upon the type of ingredients which have been used in the bread formula. If the ingredients are not good, they are poor quality ingredients. If the ingredients have not been stored properly, if the lean formula has been used, if the dough was stiff, if the old dough was used, overproofing of the dough was done, oven temperature was low, bread was cooled too rapidly before wrapping, then all these factors, they will produce poor keeping quality. Then ropey breads. If the bread gets contaminated with certain microorganisms, that is Bacillus mesentericus, bread ropiness is caused. The spores of these bacteria, they are not killed during the baking, and any ingredient can get contaminated with this bacteria and bring it into the bread. A sticky gummy material which can be pulled into threads that will develop in the center of the loaf after about 1 to 3 days of baking, and this type of ropiness will give off flavor to the bread, and therefore the baker should understand this particular fault. By the process of elimination, he can rectify the defect. He should not use such ingredient which has been infected with this bacteria. These were some of the very important bread faults, and you have practical experience also under lab conditions. Some of the students, they prepare very good labs, but some of the students, they are using the same formula, same process, but still their bread doesn't come out well. It may be because of the many reasons which I have told you, and you try to remove those causes and get a good quality bread. Then another small topic is staling of bread. What is staling? Staling means if you store the bread for a number of days, then certain changes take place which cause staling. There are two types of staling. One is crust staling and another is crumb staling. Crust staling, in the fresh stale, crust is relatively, it should be dry, it should be crisp, it should be brittle. And when the staling occurs, then you find that this crust becomes soft, leathery, it will lose its original aroma, flavor. Off flavor can also be developed, and the moisture from the crumb is transferred to the crust due to the hygroscopic nature. And when this transfer of moisture from crumb to crust takes place, it becomes soft and leathery. And the use of wax paper in wrapping, that favors the crust staling as it prevents moisture loss from the crust. Then we come to crumb staling. Crumb staling, due to the loss of the moisture, the crumb becomes hard. It becomes more crumbly. Flavor will get deteriorated, And staling is also associated with gradual and spontaneous aggregation of the amylopectin, which gives rise to the crystalline structure to the crumb. And this aggregation of amylopectin, that is less firm and than that involved in the retrogradation of amylose, and this can be reversed by warming. If you just slightly warm the bread at 50 degrees centigrade, you can reverse this. Bread should be stored at the room temperature. If you are storing the breads at low temperatures, 0 degrees centigrade, or in the refrigerators, they will get harder, greater than those which have been stored at the room temperature about 30-40 degrees centigrade. But the breads which are stored at a very high temperature, they develop off flavor, their crumb will turn brown, and that is also not desirable. Therefore, breads should be stored properly at the optimum temperature to have better shelf life. And shelf life is, that bread is short, it is 2 to 3 days, and beyond that, that is not good for eating because it doesn't taste good, it doesn't impart good flavor. I hope now you are clear about all aspects of bread making, ingredients, their functions, processing methods, their faults, and how to get good quality bread loaf. Thank you very much.